Well, thank you for your time, first of all. It's an honor to speak to you. I'll just jump right into it. Yesterday, you were obviously announced as the headliner for New Bloom, and for Australia, it's only its second year. But it's been very well received, even though it's quite a niche festival, so very much adjacent to the post-hardcore and emo community. You've seen these genres develop and you've been there when they're developing. So what do you think attracts people to these genres within this modern realm that makes these festivals so important?
I I don't know. I guess I'm gonna try and answer it from like my perspective as a fan of that music. And in order to do that, I feel like I need to go back to like when I first started getting into that sort of music. And
Mhm.
for me, it was like at the time, it was a very small community of bands, and it was I was always really attached to any kind of music that was emotional.
Mm.
So the fact that you even mentioned like emo, I was just like, that was it. People used to make fun of me and a close friend of mine that all of our favorite bands couldn't sing because everyone just sounded like they were crying and they couldn't sing. And like, so I would like to think there's some kind of a connection between like just how all of the bands that are in that sort of world are just very open about sharing how they feel. So
Mm.
I think it's probably something to do with that.
Yeah. Well, in terms of sharing how people feel, the reception to you guys coming to Australia has been wild. If you look through those comment sections, the amount of people losing their minds over basement is insane. Um, considering this audience you continue to garner and like even on, TikTok with songs from 14 years ago being very, very much trending, was this longevity ever something you expected or considered, particularly within like your major hiatus? Did you think you'd come back and still remain as big?
Absolutely not. I had like it's been crazy. I feel like anyone who starts a band, especially like you said as well, like within the sort of world of hardcore or punk, like you do it because you have to. You do it because you love the music and you want to be part of something. Like you find a community and you want to create and put stuff out there and have fun with your friends and then that becomes more of a thing. And for me, it was very much like an emotional outlet and a way to kind of understand and process feelings. So there is no idea of longevity. There is no sort of plan. You just do what feels good.
Mm.
Um, so the fact that we've taken breaks throughout for various personal reasons and been able to come back stronger each time is wild. And all I can just say is that we're incredibly grateful for it, and we're really, really excited to come back to Australia.
Yeah, and in terms of you saying, a lot of it is about having fun with your friends. Is that kind of a new outlook you're taking for the band? It's not, as serious or imperative. It's just something like an outlet to have fun, to be together, to produce creativity.
It it started like that, and for the longest time, it was just that. And I think I used to kid myself and kind of put that on the face of it for a while. But I think having time out since, I realized it is a lot more important than that, and it isn't just about having fun anymore. Although ultimately, like that's if it wasn't fun, I wouldn't do it.
Hmm.
Um, it I realized for a long time it has been a lot more important than that, and it's been like I said, something I felt like I've needed to do. It's been something that's been like very, very personal to me and very emotionally important. So although I still am having so much fun, it is more than that, and it has been more than that for a long time. I just think I was always kind of embarrassed to admit that.
Hmm.
But I'm getting older and more aware of my feelings and stuff, and I'm happy to admit that now.
Yeah, and I think that leads to my next question really well. This kind of air of retrospectiveness. Since the time Australia has missed you, you celebrated the anniversary of Colour Me and Kindness, and it's had an influence that's not to be understated, of course. But looking back at it now, even more than 10 years later, the things you learned when you took the time off, how do you reflect on that album, and what does the experience of that album mean to you now?
It's hard because like part of me wants to go, don't talk about that album. We're making new music. Like
Mhm.
that doesn't matter anymore. But I get it. Like everybody who has a favorite band or bands has favorite albums, and that album was incredibly important for us. Like it's without that record and without Run for Cover, there is no way that we could have been able to have this level of longevity and have continue to have these experiences. Like it's hard to think about it because we did it in such a strange way. Like we recorded it and then broke up or like took a break. So it's like it's weird. It's hard to actually reflect and think about like what it meant. I can certainly say now it means a lot because we've been playing the songs for so long and they feel like such a huge part of us as people as well as us as a band. Um, I'm just like, yeah, again, I'm just grateful for it and for those songs and for what they've allowed us to do.
Mm. Well, obviously the songs have resonated here. It has been a considerable number of years since you've been to Australia, though. Do you find yourself kind of defined by any expectations of what your live show was back then, or is there a freedom to indulge in new and old audiences and show them what the new era of basement is?
I feel we've always had such an amazing time in Australia that it's like, and we've always been greeted so like with amazing shows and amazing reactions. Like, so I'm sure there is like a level of sort of expectation for sure,
Mm,
but I think we're just really excited to come back and we love it. We love it there. We all always say like, when we were talking about doing stuff again, we knew we wanted to go back to Australia. We're just trying to find the right time in our schedule and stuff. So I just think we're just really excited to come back.
yeah, and of course, Australia isn't the only place you're visiting. You're on quite a considerable run right now, and I'd say it's been one of your longest runs for quite some time. So, how did you deal adapting, getting back into the touring life, and was there anything you definitely had to change from how you used to tour?
I think with everything now, we're just being way more open and better with communicating with each other. I think uh, as we've gotten older and we've got to know each other better, we've we just realized that you can't hide stuff, you can't keep stuff in, you just have to be honest. So we're all trying to be as open as possible about how we're feeling.
Mhm.
So, and that could be down to um or even just on a particular day, but like I'm talking more so about like, hey, how long do we want to tour for? How much time do we want in between tours? Because before we were, for several years it was kind of like every other month we were
Yeah.
out home, out home. And that, puts a lot of stress on each individual person, on relationships at home, on, how you feel when you're at home, like you feel very disconnected to stuff. So we are just trying to be as aware and open as possible to make sure that we are all on the same page and we're all just sharing how we feel as we go to make sure it is as enjoyable as possible.
Is that something that's also been reflected in any new writing or stuff like that?
I think so because I think like any sort of important conversation and like sharing of emotion is going to filter into what I'm doing
Mm,
vocally, but musically as well. Like we're just trying to be more communicative and like people have expressed like things in the past they didn't like how things operated, and it was it was no fault of anyone. When you start to do stuff and it kind of takes over and becomes your full-time job, you kind of just strap in and like let it happen. And unfortunately that means that some people don't get as much of an input or a say as they might want, and it's hard at the time for them to be like, hey, I don't like this, because I don't want to upset people in the same way that I probably could have gone, hey, are we okay with this, because I don't want to rock the boat. So
mm,
now I think we're just making sure, hey, if you have a problem, please just say it, because no one's going to be upset or offended. We just want to make sure everyone's happy.
yeah.
So I think, yeah, that's these kind of things affect not only the way that I'm writing, but the way that we are kind of coexisting as a unit.
Absolutely. And in terms of that, is there any light you can shed on, some of the prospects coming for Basement within the next year or two?
Yeah, we're we've got the new Bloom announced. We've got Knocked Loose in Europe just after. We're writing. We have been writing for a while now. We've got some time penciled in to record. That's our main focus. We
Mhm.
really, really want to be putting out new music. Like, and I think that's why my reaction earlier to the Color Me and Kindness thing was the way it was, because we're really excited about the fact that we are still a band, we're still
Mhm.
an active band, and the most important part of that is making music and continuing to put out some kind of a creative outlet. So that's like the main focus, I think, for all of us. We're just very, very excited about making new music.
Yeah. And going back to the festival chat and, saying you are now an active band, it begs the question, what is Basement bringing as a headliner? Like, what can we expect from you guys, and what makes you a good headliner?
Oh, well, I don't know if I can answer what makes us a good headliner, because that's a hard question. Hopefully we're worthy of headlining. I don't
Yeah.
know. I think I was anticipating a question like this, because usually I'm quite like pushbacky when pushbacky. That's not a phrase. I find it hard and want to push back when people ask like what to expect from like live stuff as well, because I feel like it leans into artists responding like, oh, it's gonna be crazy, man, and like this is gonna happen, and like, and it's an opportunity for people to sort of like big themselves up, and I always struggle with that. And I was thinking, how am I going to answer this? Uh, what I would say though is, now you're going to see five people that are just so happy. Like,
Mm.
the way that we've been playing these shows recently, we've been trying to really take a step back and like be in the moment and acknowledge each other. And because I think when we perform, we're so in it, sometimes it's almost like you don't forget that there's people around you, but you're just so trying your hardest to do your best that you kind of just focus on yourself. And I've been making such a conscious effort to sort of step back and look at the people on my right and on my left and behind me, and even just go around and maybe just like give them a thumbs up or a smile, because we are just so happy. So hopefully we'll perform well, but and hopefully people will see how grateful we are that we're being given another opportunity to play shows, and that hopefully will then show in the way that we perform.
Absolutely. Well, I think you're in a very safe place. If I learned anything from New Bloom last year, it was a very happy, exciting environment. And gathering from what everyone's saying, everyone is very, very excited to see you, and you're very welcome at the festival. So, yeah, it'll be a great time.
Can't wait.
Easy. Well, that's all I had for you today. And yeah, thank you again for your time. And I hope if you've got a bunch of press following, it goes well.
Thank you so much.